I really appreciate the push to find language that better includes people like me into the conversation, whether it is using the word Latinx, Latine, or Latin Americans. I think that is a really important conversation.
Terms like Latino, Hispanic, and Latinx can be confusing, especially when you're trying to figure out how they relate to your own identity. There's no wrong answer here, but let's explain the options.
I think that we're moving closer to actually being more consistent with many of our values as Latin American people. One of the things that Latinx people often say, and one of the values that many people from Latin American descent call as part of very much of their culture, is that of family first. Inclusive language is calling back the family that we have chosen not to see.
Talking about entire peoples and cultures, I do think that this use by media and others of the term Latinx is an imposition on the community. As you said, very few Latinos in this country identify with that term, use it. A lot of them have never even heard it. And I think it also reflects a misunderstanding of the Spanish language. The Spanish language, when we say los Latinos, for example, that includes everyone.
A Gallup poll in July asked people who identify as Hispanic about their preference using Hispanic, Latino, and Latinx. Most people said it really doesn't matter to them, though nearly 1 in 4 use the term Hispanic and only 4% preferred Latinx. To understand how we got here, let's look back. On September 17, 1968, President Lyndon Johnson signed the National Hispanic Heritage Week bill. By the 1980s, the term Hispanic was added to the U.S. Census, and in 1988, Reagan signed a law celebrating Hispanic heritage from September 15th through October 15th. According to the U.S. Census, the word Hispanic is used to describe people related to Spain or Spanish-speaking countries, regardless of race. The term is used pretty much interchangeably with Latino, which Pew says includes people from Latin America regardless of language, meaning Spain is excluded, but not Brazil. So where does Latinx fit in? Pew describes Latinx as a gender-neutral term for people who are of Latin American origin or descent.
To use this language, then is a statement, that you are aware of this exclusion that happens, and that you are committed to, in this very small way, to naming, and to bringing back, to centering, what has been marginalized.
In 2018, Merriam-Webster officially added Latinx to the dictionary, defining it as relating to or marked by Latin American heritage, used as a gender-neutral alternative to Latino or Latina.
So it is a small yet very powerful intervention on the way of trying to right, the inequities in our society, and to expand, how we are taking care of, all of our communities, within, Latinx populations.
Despite existing online for more than 10 years prior, the term Latinx has risen in popularity since 2016, according to Pew, but still remains less common than the other terms. So what happened in 2016? The first spike in searches for the term Latinx happened following the mass shooting at Pulse nightclub, after 49 people were killed at a Latin night celebration at an LGBTQ club.
I would like to say that part of what the Pulse massacre, I think, did, it allowed Latinx, and the use of Latinx allowed people to reclaim family in the face of tragedy. And that's what this is about.
But Pew says research shows there's another, more specific way to identify people that a lot of people prefer, using country of origin, labels like Mexican, Cuban, or Ecuadorian over pan-ethnic terms. So let people self-identify, and when in doubt, just ask what someone prefers. You might learn something interesting about their heritage.
I identify as Latina, just because I'm a straight woman. But again, I don't really care about the terms really much.
I think for me, Hispanic is just what I'm kind of used to, even growing up. Like, my family would never really say like, oh, you're Latino, you're Chicano, you're Mexican American, but it's just more like, oh, you're Hispanic.
It's kind of a complex question because, one, I'm fully aware of the fact that I'm pretty white passing, and so I try not to take a lot of space up in identifying culturally. But more than anything, I identify as Tejana. My family is from here in Texas. We've We were here before the border. We're still here. My dad's family will never leave West Texas. And so that feels truer than most other things.